want to welcome you to Red Funeral Home on behalf of the family of Mrs. Betty Jackson. They want to say thank you for coming and supporting them through this time and paying your respects and also celebrating. As you can see, she's in a Crown Royal bag today. Betty's family truly appreciates you coming today. And there are some red ribbons on the table, on the memorial table. If you could, when you come to pay your respects to her and check out some pictures, there's ribbons, if everyone can take a ribbon. They've asked if you'll wear one for them today. As you can see, we have a microphone here. We have some people that will be speaking today, but it is here if you wish to say something. If you want to share amongst yourselves, feel free, but if you do want to tell a story, there's a microphone here. There's some food, and there are some drinks. As you can see at the back there, we have an open bar. It is a 2-drink maximum in our facility, if you can respect that. The family will be having gathering afterwards, I believe. So I thank you all for coming once again. And as we pay tribute to Betty, there will be a video today also. So stay tuned for some very amazing pictures. So I will ask Betty to come forward and say a prayer.
Hello, everyone. I'd just like to say a prayer and give some thanks and just for Betty and the life that she had. And so if you would just join me, appreciate that. Father God, thank you for this day that you have made. Thank you that we can come together to celebrate and remember and to give you thanks for Betty, who in many ways, and give you thanks for Betty and for the many ways that she made each of our lives better. Thank you for who she was and the legacy that she leaves behind. We thank you, Jesus, that even that through this time of grief and loss, that through your death you provided us with hope to be together in heaven where there is no sickness and there is no death. And we stand on your promise, Jesus, that in your house there are many rooms that you have prepared for us, and there is room for us all. Because of you, Jesus, we can be here today with sadness and grief, but we are not overwhelmed. Thank you for Betty, how her life touched each one of us here. Thank you that we can come together and to remember and to celebrate and what she meant to each one of us. Comfort us, sustain us, and let us comfort each other through these memories. Jesus, let your love and blessing be on us all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Now Alex is going to speak.
Hi everyone, I am going to try to get through this, so please bear with me. First of all, a few words from Brian. Brian is Mom's oldest grandchild, and he is in Gibraltar, but he asked me to say a few words on his behalf. He's very sorry he can't be here for today, but he wants Mom to know that she will always be in his and his daughters Dana and Janice's hearts. He thanks God every day that Mom saw him and got to know him and his dad's granddaughters before it was too late. He truly loved her and will miss her tremendously. I cannot count the times she told me how much she wanted to see Brian again before she died. And her wish came true. She was so happy that day and many days after that he came back into our lives. For that, he and we are so very thankful. So, some people measure success by the letters after their name. They may have PhD, they may have MD, and things, even CPAs. There's one or two of us here. Mom had prefixes that befit a matriarch of higher stature, such as Gigi, which is great-grandma, grandma, grandmother, great-grandmother, mother, second mother to many friends of her children and her grandchildren. They called her mother because she was there with help and guidance for them all. Didn't matter who it was. To us, she's just Mom. And that's M-U-M, not M-O-M, or Mummy. No, not really. Most of all, she was a friend to all of us. My friends have said she was like a second mother to them, but best of all, she was my friend, and she was my brother's friend. She would listen to our woes and either give us a pat on the back, say she understood, or had a chuckle if it was warranted. She had a great sense of humor, could tell stories that would shock my grandkids. And she could shock some of us still with stories. Mind you, if you did something she didn't approve of, she could strip the wallpaper off the walls. Isn't that right, Paul? Isn't that just the truth? Paul and Steve could to attest to the stern words and firm actions of our matriarch. Although I thought as a kid I was safe from getting told off, when I heard Mom going through our names, Michael, Paul, Stephen, and then the dreaded Alexandra, then of course any one of us would say how high as we jumped at our name. We knew we were in deep. Years later, Mom and I would just sit and talk of antics that us kids got up to. Of course, I was always the innocent one. She would tell me, I only know half the stuff you kids got up to, and I don't want to know the rest, because it would do me in. Then she would just laugh, and because her laughter was so contagious, I would join in with her. And it's my belief that Mom knew a lot more than she let on. As the years went by, her grandchildren came along, and one by one her kids got bumped down the totem pole. Her grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchild became the focus of her life. Oh, she enjoyed seeing her own kids, but let's face it, we weren't nearly as important as the other generations, and we know it. For those who are here today, of the grandkids and the great-grandkids, please take comfort in knowing that you were her life. She loved you all dearly. Her face would always light up when she talked of each and every one of you, even up to the end. She wanted to know what you were all up to and wished for happy, fulfilling lives for you. You can be sure she's watching over you now, and always will be. When facing struggles, think of your grandma, think of Gigi, and be wrapped up in her love. It will get you through some tough times. Trust me, I know that's true. I would like to tell you how Mom influenced me for my life, for my career. Mom attained her nursing LPN, or equivalent of LPN, while raising 4 children. Not an easy task, as some of you may know. She excelled in her career, becoming an assistant matron at a major psychiatric hospital in the UK. Not that that was tough enough, she decided to immigrate to Canada with 3 teenagers in tow. That's pretty tough. She was unsure of what life would have for her and her family. A daunting task, to say the least. During her career in Canada, she was a psych nurse at a mental hospital, a couple of them, and then a social worker for the elderly. She took it upon herself to personally interview both resident and family of those going into care, into elderly care. This was her way of making sure the person had a choice of where they were going and the care that would be offered to them. No other social worker that she was working with put in that personal effort that she did. Personally, when my My life changed drastically when my marriage broke down many years ago. I knew I had to pursue a new life that would support me and my kids. I looked at what Mom did and decided I could do the same. I started my studies, and throughout my time in school and while attaining my professional designation, Mom was by my side. She cheered me on. She was my champion, and most importantly, my rock at that time. Whenever I thought I might not be able to get through, she would tell me to keep going. She believed in me. Mom was at my side through many good times and bad times, as she was all of us. She was always ready to jump in whenever and wherever she was needed. My strength, which I actually am a strong person, I'm not now, but tenacity and independence come directly from Mom. I know she will always be with me, ready to give me a pat on the back, cheer me on, and yes, give me a talking to when needed. And for that, I will be forever grateful. I will certainly do my best to carry on what Mom taught me with my kids, my grandkids, and great-grandkids. The tenacity to follow their passions, to be strong, to believe in themselves, and to be independent. Mom, I know you're up there dancing with the angels. You're with your son, your brother, and your mom and dad. But remember, don't do anything I wouldn't do. That gives you a lot of leeway, Mom. She said that to me a lot. I love you, Mom, now and forever. Sorry, I know you loved your Merlot, if I just couldn't do red. Cheers, Mom. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paul. His brother, Stephen's brother. Mom's second son. Mom's not up. Do I need it? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me. I'm loud. I've been told that before. Excuse me if I don't look directly. When I knew this was coming, I remember at a memorial for Louis Armstrong, 71. I don't know if you people know him, trumpet player. Dizzy Gillespie, another great trumpet player, said only 4 words at his memorial. He said simply, know him, know me. And I think Alex and Steve will agree, without Mom, there is no. She made us. She made us. She was our rock, our strength when, let's face it, her husband wasn't. I'm sure they'd agree that that really sums how she was with us. I may say some things you may misunderstand and may look bad, and I'm sorry. All I can say is if I do say anything that you might find offensive, my mother wouldn't. So, that's how she'd find the humor of it. She was born in West Yorkshire in England, and she came from a matriarchal family. And hence, she was very strong-willed and very determined person in life, and she did manage to pass that on to us. She ingrained in Alex and Steve and I that you have to find your moral center, and you don't give that up, no matter what. No matter how bad things go, no matter how you think you should give into something else, she taught us what was right or wrong, you knew what was right or wrong, and you stuck by that, regardless. And the 3 of us had scraps in our lives with authority figures on more than one occasion, and we learned how to do that from them. There's a couple of cultural references can really describe them. One, the first one, is a song, I Won't Back Down, Tom Petty sing. Of course, the Johnny Cash version is the one that suits Mom. That was easy. And especially the line, you can stand me up in the gates of hell and I won't back down. And Mom spent more than one time at the gates of hell in her life, and she never backed down, and she never left us at that point. The other big reference, a cultural reference, was actually sent to me by my stepdaughter, Julie, over there. And it's a picture of Robert De Niro. And it says, basically, I'm a nice person, so if I'm not nice to you, you have to ask yourself why. Because she was. She was extremely nice to everybody, unless you didn't deserve it. If you crossed her in any way, or if you crossed a member of her family or her children or anything like that, that was it. We were at war, and you were going to pay. That's what she was like. She, after that, now, she was, let me see, the closer you, and actually the closer you were to her, the more you'd realize that. Thanks. The way she would be to you, if you crossed her, and if you were closer to her, the less allowance you got. Because I remember one time, when I was through my teens, I was a problem child, shall I say. And there was a time I got into a scrap with my parents at the house, and I got up and walked out in the middle of the thing. I was about 17, I walked out and I left, and I was gone for a couple of weeks. And eventually my dad found me, come back, says, you better come home, your mom misses you. She's upset. So I go, okay, fine. So I get in the car and go home and go back to the house. And walk in the house, and she says, are you hungry? I said, yes. She says, okay, fine. She sits me down at the table. She makes a sandwich, sit down, says, how you doing? Good, good. And another thing, she took up exactly where she left off. Make sure I went through. She had to finish the whole statement. She had to get through the whole thing. She just took me out. Because as much as she straightened out when you needed it, which she would do all the time, she was always more than willing to be there as well. When you needed it and she felt you deserved it. She was very much a strong believer in teach a man to fish. Don't just feed him a fish, teach him how to fish. She would teach you how to take care of yourself, how to stand up for yourself. She once said to me, in the last few years, she said, I really want to leave you kids something. I said, you did, Mother. You left my siblings and I the ability to take care of ourselves. That's the best thing you did for us. We could, because of you, we could stand on our own 2 feet without asking for anything except from you. You know, and she didn't just say this for herself. This was basically how she made a living. Now, I wondered if she practiced on us growing up, so she got really good at her job, or if she got the benefits of the fact that she was really good at her job. But she would. I saw her do this up close. It wasn't just reserved to us. She would do it by asking you questions you hadn't asked yourselves, or you weren't willing to ask yourselves, or you didn't know how to ask yourself. And she would listen first while you talked, and that ability is not that easy. Yeah, I have difficulty listening to other people. Yes,
that's right, Paul. We do, yeah.
Yeah, but she did. She did, and she would listen, and then she would start asking questions. And I saw her do this in her job, but I also saw it in her personal life. I saw it with both my ex and current wife, helped them both through stages of depression. The biggest thing she did was she had them and taught them, allowed them to know that what was wrong, what they were going through, wasn't their fault. They weren't guilty, and they shouldn't be ashamed of it. This happened to people, happened to a lot of people. You have to accept that about yourself and then deal with it at that point. She's big on that. She was also, when you talk about, when I go reference the thing with the sandwich, I have to go back, and the one thing you keep in mind, they will say that home is a place where you go to, they have to take you. Mom was home. Regardless, you could go there and she would take you. You would have to go through the discussion of why you were in this position and what you didn't do to take care of yourself and how you could fix that, but you could go home. She could have and that effect she would have on you when she looked you right in the eye and make you start to think about what you did. I saw her do it when Alex referenced the fact that she was a matron one time. I was in her office where she worked, and a nurse came in, and my mother stood up and she was dressed in this dark navy blue with the classic bright. You've ever seen the pictures way back with the hat and the works, right, before they start dressing in whatever they wear now. She looked impressive, and she stood up and looked at the nurse. The nurse came in, and she was visibly shaking. Now, my mother at that time was in her early 30s, but this nurse just looked at me, was just terrified. My mother just asked her 2 questions, and she settled down, and she gave her an answer, and she would just instant relief and left as fast as she could. It was just amazing to watch her. As far as helping people, she did. In my early 30s, I went through the most traumatic, both physical, because I thought I had a cancer scare, that I was going to die, and then the result of that psychologically stressful time in my life. I basically lost it for a while there. And she would I would go on these long walks, I'd go sit and I'd go sit, see her, and no matter what time of the day or night, I could go see her, and she would just sit me down and listen, and just talk to me, just keep looking at me, just keep talking to me. She was always asking what was wrong with it. If I thought this, what was wrong with that? And she'd make you define the reality of the problem, so it came, shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and basically disappeared. It was just the other thing. I like to say about the thing about solving the depression. I found it interesting that she helped both my ex-wife and Diane through depression and she said that maybe you're the carrier of this stuff. And I said, we found it's genetics and we didn't get it from you. Anyway, it did come from there's also, she was more than willing to show all the time. Pride and pleasure in her family, as Alex said. I mean, she loved her family. It's just stupid how much she loved this. All this. Every single, if you had any slight genetic connection to mom, she loved you. That wasn't going to change. She just adored you. And she was more than willing to tell everybody, you did anything good. She would show pride in everything you did. And this part of the family, you hear pride about this family, this right, and you go like, yeah, okay. But she was always proud of everything. And she would show it, and she would show her pride directly to you, and she'd always say things like, to people like, geez, you're getting old. God, you're turning gray. You putting on weight. This is, she felt entitled to say everything on the same end. She could say, you're lovely, you look beautiful, I love you dearly. She would also say, you're getting this, that, and the other all the time. She would do it all the time. Now, as much as she could give it out, and she could give it out, she could take it. One time, Diane was there on that one, right? And one time I was at her place, and she said something, and I disagreed with her. We had political discussions all the time. I said something to her, and she said, I can't believe you talk to me like that. And I said to her, well, so look at it this way, Mother. Between you and Dad, who was more likely to stand up to authority? And who taught me how to be this way? And she said, and she looked at me, and she sat down for a second, and then she looked back and said, that may be the nicest thing you've ever said to me. She was that good. Like that. Now, as much as she was like that, we should all stand up for herself and her opinions all the time. Sometimes she could be a little bit, she wouldn't see the big picture one time. I remember we in Brandon with my brother, and she bought some stuff for us. Remember that? She bought some stuff for us, and she insisted that we we shouldn't have to pay the PSD on this stuff because they got to ship it back to Alberta because you don't have any PSD, so you have to ship it to Alberta rather than pay the PSD. She insisted on that. So she saved me about $2 PSD. It cost me about $20 in shipping. She was right. Yeah. Now, they say if you get a chance, you should always tell your loved ones how you feel about them, what they mean to you. It's not always an easy thing to do, and I'm not always that good at that. But as Mom got closer, when she knew it was coming, and she started to take control of that as well, she asked me one time, she said, we have a good relationship, don't we? I did get to tell her at that point, yes, we have a good relationship, and in fact, we're extremely close. And then she was still the most important in my life. And then as I go through it, she's the most important person in my life, and the add-on to that was my children, and then my wife, Diane. She did say about Diane one time that she was the smartest decision I ever made. She probably right that time. Now, people have, since this has happened, people have passed comments and said, knowing how close we are, even people who have never met her, when I talk about them back in Calgary with friends and with colleagues and stuff, they know how close we were because we talked about it. And they said to me, it says, you must be, after this, you must be really going to miss your mother. And I always tell them, no, I'm not going to miss my mother. And as I said to Alex and Stephen, we're not going to miss Mom because we know every time we decide to tear somebody a new one, there's Mom to do that occasionally. Every time we got mad, pissed up, stood up for ourselves, and looked in the mirror at our faces, we'd see Mom. See, let's face it, we look like her. And we talk like her, we sound like her. Not to say I loved her, respected, admired, liked her, and yes, we'll miss her, of course, for all the statements. She was many things, not all good, definitely not all bad, but she never committed the unforgivable sin of being boring. And that I'll always be grateful. Thank you.